y'all doing? 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
Hello. How y'all doing?
We doing great. All right now.
All right. Awesome sauce. All right, we have a guest coming in today. But before we get to the guest, they're going to be here around 6 o'clock. But before we get to the guest, we're going to do some announcements for Underground Books.
Yeah, we got some good things going on.
Yeah.
Underground Books has children's story time, summer fall series, books, readings, activities, age 3 to 10, B-Boy Buzz. September 23rd, October 28th. We all highlighted. September 23rd to October 28th.
Yeah, so, and also, too, we have coming to the Guild Theater, a one-man play, The Absent Father, The Wayward Son. So you can view the trailer online at brandonhughes.net. It's a Brandon Hughes production at the Guild Theater, like I said, and it's going to be on Friday, September the 22nd, and Saturday, September the 23rd. The 23rd. So, it's ages 13 and up. And, I guess, if you below 13 is PG-13. So, I guess they have it's a one-man show. Very cool. Yes. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Tony.
Tony just walked in.
Underground Books presents discussion and book signing featuring David Osborne, Wednesday, September 13th, 2017, 6 o'clock p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Reinventing America's Schools, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, the book is right here. It looks very nice. It's right there on that table. See it right there on the table? Yeah. Reinventing American Schools. So I wonder what that's about. That sounds very interesting.
Well, it's about time, don't you think? There need to be some new things happening. It's about time,
and I don't know what the book is about, but yes, it's about time that we talk about reinventing the school. So this is the next one. We have here, it's a discussion and book signing right here at Underground Books. It is going to be featuring Malika Singleton, and it's September 16th from 2 to 4 p.m. That's going to be this weekend coming up. Conversation with top real estate investors. So come on through if you want to be a real estate investor. Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchase with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care. It is about the safest investment in the world. Franklin D. Roosevelt. So that was his quote. Malika Singleton is a founder and CEO of Singleton Investments and CEO of the St. Nia Foundation Incorporated. She has a doctorate degree in neuroscience from University of California, Davis. Do not miss this inspiring and exciting event about real estate. So come on through, and if you want to get down and dirty with the real estate game, you better come through on September 16th from 2 to 4.
September 16th.
We have another book signing discussion here that will take place on September 20th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Everyone can meet the Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, and she will be discussing her book, Radical Dharma. And this book is to grow on and to deepen over to partner with Alice Walker. Okay, she give a big ups to Miss Williams about Radical Dharma. And once again, that is an exclusive book signing and discussion Wednesday, September 20th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. right here at Underground Bookstore, 2814 35th Street, Sacramento, California. Oak Park.
Let me see that.
Yeah. Got some interesting book discussions.
Yeah, and it says talking race, love, and liberation.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, talking race,
love, and liberation.
I guess you're going to meditate yourself to some freedom.
A higher place.
So that sounds very
interesting.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, that's
Radical Dharma. I mean, because usually the meditation stuff is not radical at all.
No,
so no. But yeah, she's gonna present her.
You got to go deep.
She's gonna present her take on the Radical Dharma stuff. So Reverend Angel Kyoto. That sounds very interesting.
Is she from here?
I don't know if she's from here. Is she local? Do you know if she's local? No, she's on the phone. So
I think the best thing is just come on out and check it out.
Check it out and see what she has to say.
Yeah,
quite honestly, it sounds like an assignment for me, for the observer, so I wouldn't mind coming to check it out and see what she got to say.
She's a Zen priest.
I think I will come out and check it out.
Yeah, she's a Zen priest.
Yes.
Assistant.
If you're into the holistic stuff, these day and age, like you said, you got to reach your deed.
You got a new wave. wave.
New wave, as far as radicalism, I guess. So
I know everything got to be radical now in the age of Trump. Yes.
That's the new wave.
Right.
It's the way to go.
Like it or hate it.
Right. So, welcome to Black Talk Sacramento, number 35. And, yes, this is number 35. And we meet here every second Tuesday of the month from 5 to 7. And we usually hosted by, so my name is NSAA.
I'm Gerry Simpson.
I'm Antonio, quote unquote, Tony Harvey.
And Marichal Brown is going to be here a little later, hopefully. Yes. Mm-hmm. And he usually sits in this seat. And, And,
supposed to have a guest today, or we're going to have
Sure, we're going to have a guest.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Well, I know I was hearing Harry might be stepping up to the plate,
but also
the Sacramento County Sheriff deputies. And
we have that guy Eyewear.
Oh, yes. Just
Uptown.
the man I need to have a discussion with.
And also we have some new art on the wall. It's coming up. So they got the little stickies on there where they're going to put the... Yeah,
so who is this artist?
It's a person by the name of Clay Wilson.
Clay Wilson.
Clay Wilson is on the walls, going up on the walls right now. It's very interesting.
And Clay Wilson is from?
I don't know. I don't have any other information on Clay Wilson right now. I just have the name because they situate and everything.
You got a flyer for Clay Wilson?
The name of his art exhibit is Shades of Black.
Shades of Blackness.
He is a dentist.
He's a dentist.
Oh, really?
Okay.
No wonder it looks so,
so
meticulous.
And he's from where?
Huh? He's got quite a story.
Okay.
So his art talk is going to be Saturday, November 5th.
Saturday, November 5th.
Here at Underground Books.
Here at
Clay
Underground Books.
Clay Wilson. He's a dentist. Wilson. Yeah. No wonder.
Well, I like his artwork so far, so it's definitely...
Yeah, it makes my teeth hurt.
See how you work out, bro? Well, at least he could fix it for you. He'll make it work for you.
That's what I say.
November 4th? Excuse us, it'll be on November the 4th.
It's always good to have a lawyer.
Saturday, November 4th.
5 to 7.
5 to 7 p.m.
Here at Underground Books. Saturday,
Underground
November
Books.
4th. Clay Wilson.
Shades of Blackness, y'all.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Got it. It's always good to have a dentist, a lawyer.
Yeah, check you out. So when the dentist come, you look at your smile and stuff, boy. So you better be ready.
Better.
Had them pearly whites ready. So how's everything going?
I was about to say what was going on with you guys. I ain't seen you in a minute.
Hey,
see you social media wise, but
well, it's been my first time back out since I had my surgery, but a lot of things have been happening. I got to show y'all and share with y'all. Since I left the last time, I've had 2 fashion shows.
Right.
So, I've got my first editorial spread in a fashion magazine coming out of New York City called Promo Magazine.
Okay.
So we're bringing fashion uptown in the design district.
All right.
And so I'm representing pretty hard. So This is the fall edition, September edition for Promo. And from what I hear, and so far, there's about 3 other magazines that are going to pick up my stuff. So I'm working pretty hard.
Ask you this. How did that become to be? How did you become part of a promo?
Well, you know what? I worked with a young lady who I actually got into modeling in the whole 9 yards, and she spun off and became a stylist, and her love interest is a photographer. So they both work together, and they actually shop things around to different magazines. And so this happens to be a Condé Nast magazine. If y'all familiar with Condé Nast, they handle Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and all that kind of stuff. So I'm giving it a big ooh because this is kind of cool coming out of Sacramento, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how can we?
Well, it's an online magazine, so you can go to promomagazine.com and you can get it. Because they don't actually sell the magazine because they build each one. So to get the magazine as a hard copy, it becomes pretty expensive.
Yes.
But being that my stuff was inside, I had to go ahead.
Oh, no problem with that. It does look like a nice quality.
It's very nice. Very nice. So I'm like
publication.
On several pages here.
On several?
Yeah. So I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's been good. It's a great thing. I'm having a good time. So what's happening? I see you all over the world too, sir.
Yeah.
I always see you doing something very historical.
I'm always trying to slow down, but that's not what we do in this business. You know that. So, but yeah, I'm already laying down some more traveling events to coming up. But yeah, I'm just trying to be like you, man. I'm trying to be everywhere.
No, man. The thing about it is when you work and the things that you do, This is my guest coming through the door.
Okay, very good.
This is Mr. Dennis Peterson.
All right, Mr. Dennis.
This is
There's a lot of Dennis's in here.
Oh, this is. Have a seat there for a minute, sir. This is Mr. Dennis Peterson.
Dentist.
You're right.
That guy eyewear.
That guy eyewear.
That's right.
Yeah,
Uptown in the Design
Oh
District.
boy. So
we
get a
you
lot
know-
of good information about him. I've been hearing. I know we haven't brought him on yet, but I've been hearing so many good things about
This is the
guy.
man.
I met him about a year ago at a New Phase development event, and he's booming. He's booming. Every time I look around, I say, "Wait, where you get your eyewear from?"
That guy.
That guy.
And you know what's so cool about it? He can help you get your eye drobe together. You know, you hip to your eye drobe, which means that you got to have more than
It's
one
like
pair.
wardrobe.
That's like a wardrobe, but your eye drobe. You got to have more than one pair. You know, you can't be always wearing the same pair. You know, every once in a while, change up.
That's special.
Yeah, and that's special.
That's real special. That's good too. I'm
go ahead,
glad
talk
so
to
many good things happening with his business, especially over there in North Sacramento.
That's it.
I
That
got to
guy
get my eye
eyewear.
drobe together.
Yes.
Yes, I don't think I have an eye drobe. I have one pair. I have two pairs, right?
They say this
So
is-
that's how
And I
something
got
I've never
see. I got the mess up. See, maybe I should have went to you because I went to that place called Scanton, whatever it's called, and they got me, boy, because I was like, oh, I get two pair for this amount of money, and then I went in there and they got me. Yeah, they got me really good, and so I ended up spending a lot more than I thought I was going to spend.
Well, I promise you that guy will become your friend. He'll become somebody that you
Yeah, I
want to know
probably should have
better.
went to that guy.
Hey, it's that guy.
I probably should have went to that guy because they really got me. And then the bifocal, they made the bifocals, but the line is way low.
So you got to look deep.
And every time I have to read, I have to do like this, push my glasses.
Oh,
up.
so you got to look high.
Yeah, and then when I at the office, I have I have a pair that's taped up because I have two pairs, so I have one that's taped up so I can be like that. So
you get your Urkel
It's
on.
all bad. Yeah, it's all bad.
Stajabu.
It's the job.
Thank you. Sorry about that, sister. But I saw her wearing a pair of his eyewear, and that was it. I was sold. And she was proud of what she was wearing that day. And that was at Marichal's open house event.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Marichal got a pair of that guy.
Yeah, and he does. That's right. He does. I mean, it's
Yana got a pair of that guy.
contagious. It's catching on.
It's catching on.
I just got to get in there myself. I really do have to get in there. We have to talk about that. And I do owe you a story. It's been a long overdue, but since your business have been building up,
This guy right here writes for the Observer News.
Yeah, talking about Observer News.
Talk about the Observer
Observer
News.
News.
The Observer News. Let's do the Observer News. So what's happening?
What do we have in the Observer News?
okay, well, I want to talk about this event that is going on.
And wait, just 1 second. Before we go into that, you can purchase the Observer News right here at Underground Books.
Yeah,
That's right.
And it's located at 2814 35th Street, Sacramento, California. Or you can give her a call, 916-737-333 and another 3.
That's right.
And you can give her a call and see if she has a book available for you, as well as
Observer
they
News.
have a new website. You can purchase things online. So go online and you can purchase all the books you want online. It's
Go ahead there, Mother
Yeah,
Rose.
it's the Black Amazon. So
It is.
next up.
The Black Amazon. It is. And I'll tell you right now, she's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, and
She's everywhere.
Underground Books.
Underground Books. So now on to the Observer News.
Observer News.
Observer News.
Observer News.
Yeah, well, and I want to just get you guys a quick thought about this. I don't know, y'all know about the Advanced Peace program that's about to start. It's channeled through the city. It's this program that try to get these so-called street life people, not necessarily gang members. I don't want to call them that.
Oh yeah, they're
even though-
paying them not to kill each other. Or
Well,
something.
that's
Hold on, rewind that
been
video.
put out there, but that's not that's not what it's about.
Okay.
Okay, we're trying a little thing called gun suppression.
Gun
These
suppression.
people, they're trying to help them. Okay, help them with their life skills and social skills and whatever else that they need, socially to, try to
Curb some
get
of
them to
that action.
rethink, right? Curb some of that action and get them to rethink about what they're doing out there and help themselves.
Okay.
Because right now, one of the biggest problems is gun violence. I mean, every time we hear somebody getting shot, we hear 2 or 3 or 4 people, maybe 5 people getting shot. For instance, they were shooting a video out there in Meadowview Park. What was that, August 27th? 5 people got shot. 1 person died. 139-year-old man died. And a couple days later, the Advanced Peace Program passed 9-0 down at City Hall. There was a little friction going on. It was a good discussion. We always like to have good dialogue about this. And also what you said too, Lawrence, about people think that, we're paying them not to do crime, but that's not it. If they do a crime, they go to jail. Okay? That's just not
Somebody
it.
shouldn't have to pay you not to kill yourself.
And that's not what it's all about. It's about identifying these people who have these type of backgrounds and try to get them, to, like I said, rethink what they're doing out there. Because a lot of innocent people getting hit, from Del Paso to Meadowview to
what are they? Okay,
Valley
so
Park.
what's the details
Center.
of do you know the details?
It's a 7-step program, but I haven't got the full details on it. It's a 7-step program that's going to cost about $1.5 million. The city is putting in, and don't quote me on this, I think the city is putting in $1.5 million, and another nonprofit, I want to say the Sierra Foundation, is putting in $1.5 million. So it's a matching fund. Or it could be the other way around. The total could be $1.5 million, and $750,000 could be coming from the city, and another $750,000 come from another nonprofit. So it's like matching funds. It's being ran by the Sacramento Gang and Task Force, Khalid Mataki, which I really got to bring him in there, and he can explain that more. I'm going to try to work on that for next month, so he can explain more about what they're doing. And it's been a model program.
So have they tried it somewhere else?
They tried it in Richmond, and it worked.
Okay.
I ain't going to say it worked, but it had some success
It reduced
about 50%, they said.
Okay.
They tried it, or it's ongoing in Stockton. And we know what type of problem they've been having in the past, but they didn't quiet down in Stockton too. So yeah, this is where we at. The community basically support it, but when the media get out there, they try to sell it.
Right. Put a negative spin on it.
I had reservations about it too, but once you look into it, you got to try something these days.
So
it's going to be a risk.
Is it a job program, or what kind of program is it?
They get a stipend. That's where the money they talking about. I don't know how much these guys get.
They get a stipend to attend or
to be a part of it. But this is a 7-step program that you got to go through to make this money. Okay. I know it could be.
What are the things that they do for the young
people? Like I said, it's a 7-step program. I do not have all the details for you. Okay, but what Mataki was telling me, it could be something like, hey, you need to go work on getting your driver's license, or you need to go to anger management classes, okay, or you need to settle up with your mother about some issues or something like that. I mean, small or big. So that's what he was telling me. I don't know.
So it's highly personal. The program,
it's definitely a personal program.
It's personal.
Yeah, and it's not like, hey, we're going to try to help you go to school or help you get an education, because, everybody's not cut out for that. So they kind of steer away from that. We're just trying to help you be a better person and be a productive citizen in Sacramento, because we want our streets safe for everybody. That's what they're trying to do.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I had reservations about this whole thing when I first heard about it.
But anything,
but we got to try something.
You got to try something. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do anything, it just keeps going.
Well, just think it reduced gun violence 50% in Richmond.
Yeah.
Okay. Advanced Peace. Advanced Peace.
Is it a residential program?
It's ran through the city. That's all I can tell you.
So it's matching funds from different places.
But it's getting matching funds from different places, yeah. So a lot of nonprofits are going to be involved with this too.
Okay.
Because, like Always Knocking and the Voice of Youth.
Okay. Oh, boy.
Axios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Axios can...
right. They know these people.
Okay.
They know the shooters. I'm gonna say I'm not the alleged shooters. They know their mama, their daddy. They know what they're going through.
Or they have a close association.
Right. They in the street.
Right.
They know these people.
Right. Or they have like a 1-degree association from whoever. Somebody that they know somebody knows. Right.
And you got to have those type of people to work with.
Yeah, you got to have those connections.
What they're going to call outreach coordinators. They're going to have a program director and 3 or 4 outreach coordinators. And I would assume that the outreach coordinators are the ones, who got their ears to the street
Yeah.
Well, you do have to think outside the box, when you want to solve a problem like that. So, and also, I mean, there's no jobs,
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's no jobs. So, what they're going to do is, the streets become bloody when there's no employment like that. And
Now,
so what else you got?
So James Wheatley over at the Celebration Arts is going to be moving. They are into their last show.
Yeah, I heard about
Motown.
that.
Right. They are
shut
supposedly it hasn't been inked. The deal hasn't been inked, but they're moving out of their East Sacramento home where they've been for 23 years.
Yeah.
They will be moving to what's going to be the former B Street Theater.
Okay.
With what's his name, Timothy Busby. I think they're moving into another. The city helped them out, gave them some money. They built another theater somewhere. So Celebration Art
is moving to town, basically.
Supposedly, I would say 90% supposed to be filling in, occupying that space that the B Street Theater is leaving behind.
Okay.
And once again, James Wheatley, who I dearly love, he's been operating there for 23 years. Mm-hmm. He's been around since 1986, but he's been at this location for 23 years.
Well, this will bring them closer to town, and it'll make them more visible.
So, do they have a place already that they're going to?
This is the place that he wants, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to get it. He hasn't signed on the dotted line, but
this is where he wants to go.
Right now, I think it's only like 2,000 square feet. The B Street Theater is 6,000 square feet.
Yeah,
so he has a lot of room to do a lot of stuff over there.
Okay, very cool.
Bigger productions,
bigger stage, of course.
But also, like I said, it brings them more to the city. It brings them more in town.
Yeah. Well, I like that little coziness he had down there in East Sacramento.
Yeah.
But you can open up. Maybe you can do a lot more musical dance numbers and stuff.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That'd be very cool. Mm-hmm. Maybe some, animatronics or something.
Yes. The lighting system.
So how long has they been at the other location?
23 years.
23 years at the old location.
Years.
Wow.
I remember when I first started. When I got hooked up to them, when they used to do an Art and Soul Festival out at what is no longer the Radisson Hotel on Business 160. Mm-hmm. And they used to do that for many years. Then a lot of other people started replicating what he was doing, so they kind of knocked that out. But he's still been going strong. His production's still been going strong, and he's been knocking it out the ballpark. Yes, I haven't seen Motown. I think this is the last week for the Motown stage play. Okay. It's not a review. It's a stage play.
It's more telling the story.
About the thing that happened in 1967, the riots or rebellion, revolution, or whatever was going on back there. I ain't going to say whatever was going on back there.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where we at on that. And,
awesome.
And
so good luck to them. Celebration Arts. Good luck to you guys.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Madison Keys beat Sloane Stevenson for the U.S. Open Championship, Women's Open Championship this past weekend. That is big.
Okay.
All right. 3 black women got to the semifinals. 1 wins. Okay. Venus got knocked out in the semifinals by one of these two. I think it was
Venus got knocked out. Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the semifinal.
Wow.
These are young and up and coming.
Yeah, they're the next
tennis
generation.
stars, right?
Yeah.
And they are the next. Hey, it's hard to run around with younger legs. These days,
yeah. And I wonder, did they idolize them?
Oh yeah, they did say that. Yeah, I mean that's why they're in it too.
That's why they're playing.
One of them go to Stanford, and
right.
The Williams sisters are a big part of what they do.
Okay.
So congratulations on all 3 of them.
So beating your hero in a
that's big.
That's big. That's amazing.
That's big.
You're like, that'd be jacked.
If you don't win again ever in your life, that's
right. That's huge. I mean, beating Serena is like
that's epic.
Yes.
So that all right. So we can just slow it down at that pace because I know we got a couple of guests coming in.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, sir.
Michelle, I know you're supposed to be coming in, but thank you for listening to Observer News.
Observer News.
News.
He's
y'all.
going to switch locations and
we're going to bring some people in. How about that?
Guest up.
My first guest is Mr. Dennis Peterson. Now let me tell y'all, Dennis has been on the boulevard for the past 2 years. And he's been building a very strong following. He's been building a crowd. And a lot of it has to do with that name. He's that guy. He's that guy that has a lot of things that are happening. His glasses are unique. I have a couple pair that I don't see nobody walking around in.
That is true. That's very true.
And without saying any more, I'm proud to know this guy, Mr. Dennis Peterson. Welcome to Black Talk Sacramento.
Welcome to Black Talk Sacramento.
Welcome, Mr. Dennis.
Love, I gotta make it with you. Space is a womb, my first and favorite.
Okay. So,
That little segue.
so, this has been a long time coming. I've been telling this guy I'm going to get him to come on Black Talk Sacramento for a while. But I want to, would you say you're, how do you say, ophthalmologist?
I'm an optician.
He's an optician. He is Sacramento's only black optician.
Actually, Gus, I'm going to tell you that's not true.
Okay, well, come on, correct me now.
There's actually a young lady that has a place over in the African marketplace, Aisha. And she's
Okay.
It's called Suggested Eyewear.
So he's one of two. That's not a big number still.
That's two.
Two. Did I say two?
You said one of two, so that's two.
One of two. Two. So wait, let's start by asking you, how did you get into this?
Well, back in the 80s, I was actually in electronics and I was between jobs. So I answered an ad in the paper. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time. And I was waiting for another electronic job to come along, and I answered an ad in the paper for an optical lab. And there's certain jobs in optical labs that you can do. There's no experience necessary. It's more like machine operation. So I thought, well, I'll just take this job until another electronic job comes along. Once I got into it, I realized it was another technology that I was fascinated with, so I took it upon myself to learn the technology behind light, what makes light bend, reflect, refract, that kind of thing. And I slowly worked my way up until about 3 years later, I became a lab supervisor. And in 1989, I moved to Sacramento. I had a job offer here for a company called Horizon Eye Care, which was bought by Pearl Vision at that point.
Pearl Vision. Y'all know Pearl Vision?
Pearl Vision.
Pearl Vision. Okay. So now, once you get this job doing this, do you do your own glasses? I always want to ask you, do you make your own glasses?
Yes, I do.
Okay. That should be pretty interesting. I got to get out of bed and I need a new pair of glasses.
Make your own glass.
Come
on.
How do you measure your own eyes?
Well, I don't measure my own eyes. Because I'm not an optometrist, so I still have to go and get an eye exam done.
Okay.
But once I get the prescription, then, I can do all the measurements that I need myself to fit myself.
I find that amazing.
Yeah.
So how many years does it take to become official? The real deal.
In some states, it's considered a 2-year degree. There's an optician. The ABO certified is equivalent to a 2-year degree. ABO Masters is a 4-year degree equivalent.
Okay. Now, there's somebody young out there, and they're wondering, how do I become this person?
Well, most people actually don't go to school. There's a school here in Sacramento called National Career Education. They teach an opticianry program. But I'm here to tell you that most people that are in this business usually apprentice under someone. And that's kind of the way it works. So you take a job and then someone takes you under their wing and they just teach you the ropes.
How could you encourage people of color to become more involved in this business?
It's the $1 million question, isn't it?
It's the $1 million question.
Well, I think it starts a lot sooner than getting into the optical business. I think it has to do with school. It has to do with interest in science and interest in math and things like that because, it's one of those kind of businesses where someone says, why am I going to need algebra ever again because I'm never going to use this? But I use it every day in my business. I use calculation of numbers and things like that every single day. Well, going back to the beginning, my family, I was a military brat, so that's how I ended up in Arizona. My family's from New Jersey. Not too far away from where Gus grew up. But we ended up there. And so I went in the Air Force myself, and when I got out of the Air Force, I went back to Arizona and went to school. And I just started in the business down there. Mm-hmm. How did I end up in Sacramento? It was a job offer. I was working for a company in Phoenix, and the CEO of the company was shown the door, and he decided to come to California and start his own company. And Sacramento was kind of wide open in the optical community compared to the Bay Area or Los Angeles. So he handpicked a few people that were in management down there to come up here and start the company. And as I said, it was here for about a year or so, and then it was eventually bought out by Pearl Vision. Most of the people that were in management went back to Arizona. I stayed, and one other friend of mine who lives in Vallejo, he stayed.
Now, I have a question. Is there a way that we can, getting back to introducing it to the younger people, right? Is there a way that we can introduce it into the school, like high school, so they'll know that these jobs are available? I think that's part of it, right? If you don't know,
you don't know.
You do career day.
Right. I think it's just getting into schools itself and just making the students aware that that there's other avenues that we can pursue besides what are traditional black professions.
Right. Basketball, football. No, just playing.
Well,
See,
you can probably stereotypical. Yeah. But I think, I've had conversations with people about that, and I think in order to have a completely contained community, we have to stop thinking about what we don't do.
That's it.
Right.
In other words, black people don't chase sharks, that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, if we're going to have a completely contained community, somebody's going to have to jump off the boat and chase the shark. Somebody's going to have to jump out of the airplanes.
Somebody's going to have to chase a hurricane.
Exactly.
Brothers, hurricane chasers.
So we need doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, that whole thing. Forgive me for saying that, but I think it's just the awareness that we need to have all the parts of our community to taken care of.
Yes.
It can't just be, this is what black people do, and then the rest of it we leave up to other
cultures to take care of. And I agree with that 100. Yeah.
Now, I've talked to you many times, and you've talked about how your personal look has been a crazy thing too. When people see you, they really don't expect you to be you. You know what I'm saying?
No. I actually had someone come in and said to me after the second time he came in, when I walked into your shop, I was surprised to see you here.
Okay.
And I took that however I wanted to take it. Right. But, I think that's part of how we stereotype ourselves.
Sure. Right. So wait, okay, so you're saying that one of your cousins said that to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
No, right. I thought he said customer.
Yeah, but he said one of his cousins.
No, I knew what he meant. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he understood.
Okay. It was. We do have a question from the audience.
I'm trying to play the drums.
Yeah, we have a question from the audience. Yes.
But you're so articulate.
Okay.
Are you referring to me?
Yes.
Okay, I have two questions.
She has two.
One for me, one for myself, and one for my brother.
Okay.
One for myself is, do you have an optometrist that you work with?
Interesting. Well, the short answer is yes, I do have an optometrist I work with. But the longer answer is I'm trying to get an optometrist in my location.
Here it goes.
So I have quite a bit of space in the back. Constantine, you've seen the back space. Yes. And recently I just finalized a deal with an optometrist in the Chico area that retired. So I'm purchasing his entire exam lane. We're going to bring it down here. And I had a guy that just came out Saturday to bid on the build out. So hopefully by the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I'll have an optometrist on location. Once that happens, then that changes a lot of things. It changes foot traffic, number one, obviously. It changes insurance issues. It changes the neighborhood because it's a very underserved neighborhood. The nearest optometrist to my location is up on Grand Avenue by Grant High School. He's been there for 40-something years. After that, there's no other optometrist in the entire zip code. I'm right across the street from a community clinic, and they're mainly physician's assistants. So when they refer out eye patients, they refer them out to either, I won't mention the clinic's name, but it's out in Rancho Cordova or all the way down in the south area, in the pocket area.
Wow, that's
so
far.
For the people in that neighborhood, it's a challenge. It's a transportation challenge. It's either a bus ride and light rail, and they have to make choices about whether they want to do that or whether they just want to continue dealing with what they've been dealing with. So I think it's definitely a need in the community.
Okay, and you said you had two questions.
My second question, yes. For my brother, on behalf of my brother, I'd like to know: are you looking for an apprentice by chance? He's studying this in school.
Oh, wow.
Is he?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is he studying opticianry or optometry?
He's studying to make glasses.
Okay, opticianry. Have him come talk to me. Yeah.
Tell him to see that guy.
Well, I know I'm rocking that guy eyeglasses, eyewear.
Yeah.
In 2010, I took a job in Tracy because as the economy fell out, I was working for a boutique here in Sacramento, and as the economy fell out in 2008, there wasn't enough money to keep me working there. So I started looking for another job. My job circle kept getting wider and wider until I ended up working for an ophthalmology practice in Tracy. And at that point, I acquired some lab equipment, and I decided I'm just going to start doing wholesale work. And wholesale work is where if you go to a doctor's office and they tell you it's going to take about a week or so to get your glasses, they're sending it to a wholesaler, someone like me. So I just set up in the garage down there. I just set it up, and I just started going out and trying to get some accounts from different doctors if they wanted to just send some of their work my way. So I did that for about 4 years, and when I came back to Sacramento, I decided to continue that for a while. And the wholesale business can be kind of tough. It's one of those things where you feel like you're doing well, and then at the end of the month you're chasing money, and you have to chase your statements. So I decided, well, if I start doing some retail work, then that'll help with the cash flow. So the first thing I did is I just went out to denials, and I got a booth out there. And I did denials for about 6 months. It was a learning experience. It wasn't lucrative, but it enabled me to get my feet on the ground in terms of the wholesale aspect of it. And when I decided to get out of that, I started working for someone just part-time just to keep some money going together. I was riding down Del Paso Boulevard one day and I saw the For Lease sign. And I called my wife at home because I was on my way somewhere else. I said, and I wasn't really looking, but I was just curious what the square foot rate was going to be. I just want to know. So if I'm going to start paying attention to this, I need to know how much is it going to cost me. So she called me back. I was at Home Depot. She called me back an hour later and said, hey, the lady wants to meet us right now.
Oh, wow.
So I went down there and one thing led to another and she helped me make it happen.
Okay.
So the business that was in there before was disruptive to the neighborhood. Let's just put it that way. So she left the place vacant for almost 2 years. She just refused to rent to anything until it was become a positive type of business. So when she found out what I do, she was very excited about it. So we sat down, we negotiated the lease, and she made it happen.
Everything's been working since then.
Well, it hasn't just been working. I mean, there's a lot of work involved,
right?
You know, and I'm there virtually 7 days a week. You know, there's a lot of work involved with it. But if it's a labor of love, it's
what you do.
It's what you do. You know, and I'd say maybe the better answer to your question was probably about 10 years ago, I started realizing that, you know, when you work for someone and the boss is playing golf, that you're pretty much doing it. So at that point, I realized, well, I'm making a lot of money for this guy. I should think about doing it for myself.
This is a lesson in entrepreneurship.
So, you know, That Guy Eyewear has the most amazing trunk shows. If you're familiar with eyewear trunk shows, how often do you have a trunk show?
We have trunk shows every 3 months.
Every 3 months,
we're going to be having one coming up on the 29th.
There you go.
Of September. And that will be the 2-year anniversary of the shop.
So, celebrate with us the 2 incredible years Uptown Design District. That Guy Eyewear 2nd Anniversary Customer Appreciation Party and Trunk Show. September 29th, 4 p.m., 8 to 8 p.m. maybe-ish. Ain't no party like That Guy Eyewear party, and I promise you all, he gives a good party. And he always has the best new, latest, and greatest eyewear on display. Yes?
Yes, that's true. I just opened an account with Gazelle. I'm sure a lot of us know what Gazelle or Cazal is.
Oh, yeah, the Gazelle. Got your Gazelle.
So that's been doing pretty well for me.
You generate a lot of your business by word of mouth?
I do advertising, and I'm on 97.5 KDE.
Yeah, I heard.
And also I do some advertising in Sacramento News and Review, Yelp, things like that. But I think ultimately in this business, it's always going to be word of mouth.
So wait a minute. At this party, you're going to have celebrity chef Richard Purnell.
Celebrity chef Richard Purnell.
He's going to be serving the libations.
Celebrity chef Richard Purnell. I call him a celebrity chef because he's been doing quite a few spots on Sac & Co.
That's
Channel
it.
10. And I think he was on CW13 as well. Yeah. And he also catered the 1-year anniversary party, and he did such a wonderful job that I wanted to have him back.
Chef Purnell's a cool dude.
Yeah,
he's been around.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I was at that 1-year party. And I'll be at the 2nd year party.
And we started we started having music actually also.
Okay.
That started with Aguna's son and Jimmy Malone, who used to play at Mama Kim's restaurant. And Aguna's a friend of mine, and he volunteered to play at one of the shows for my birthday. And it went over so well that I decided last show to have another musical act. So we had this the Great King Blues Band. They play out at the Powerhouse Pub in Folsom. So this time it's going to be a DJ instead, DJ Rock Bottom.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Rock Bottom.
You know him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So and that's why we say it's 4 to 8ish, because in the back space where once we build out the doctor's office, there will be no more space in the back to do this.
Okay.
So we're going to clear it out, and if people want to stick around and dance and have some good times with us, and
so it's a good excuse to clear it out.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. We're working on that last weekend and this weekend.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ain't no party like That Guy party.
That Guy party. Yes.
September 29th.
Dance into the evening with legendary DJ Rock Bottom, classic eyewear from. So, are you going to have your eyewear on? Now, do you build your glasses from scratch, or how do you?
Well,
how does that
there are
work?
frame manufacturers. What I do is I cut the lenses and I do the prescription part.
Okay.
But frames are bought from the factories.
Okay. All right.
There's large factories in Italy. I've heard people have heard of Luxottica, and it's one of the largest manufacturers in the world. But we purchase the frames. A lot of times I'll buy closeouts, so the price is going to be a little bit lower.
Okay, very cool.
I do have some vendors that I buy direct from. And those are the ones that are going to be at the trunk show.
Okay.
Jonathan Cate is one designer I think he's out of North Carolina, but unlike Calvin Klein or Armani, I speak to Jonathan Cate on the phone.
Oh, okay.
He actually is involved hands-on in the business, and some very nice stuff that he does. And then Cazal is obviously, people have heard about Cazal. So, but the lenses, that's the part I do.
Cazal.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. So you fit the lenses to the frame.
Run DMC glasses.
And so when you walk into your office, you have them all presented up like a motif.
Yeah, we have displays. It's a regular boutique.
Okay, very cool.
And
I dig that.
Give us a description of, are they fashion glasses, or are they just glasses, sportswear?
That guy glasses.
Not that part. Let's get the other part.
Well, that's an interesting question, because when I first went in it, I was thinking, because of the neighborhood that I was in, that I was going to try to be very economical. For example, Marichal doesn't pay for glasses for adults anymore. So I wanted to have product that was going to be economical for people in the neighborhood, and but I really quickly realized that we want designer. We want high-end stuff. So I started having to change my inventory quite a bit for that reason.
And
he got sharp stuff, man.
These high designer names got names behind them. Of course, I probably wouldn't know anything beyond Ray-Ban.
Some of them, and some of them do.
That's a whole nother world.
Some of them do, but the interesting thing about that is what an optician considers designer and what the consumer considers designer are two different things. What you consider designer is what we call branded. And it may all come out of the same factory, Luxottica, for example, and then at the end of the process, they'll put the Christian Dior on the side or the Coach on the side. But it's all the same manufacturing process. And Coach makes handbags, and Armani makes suits, and Fendi makes whatever. But what we consider designers, that's all they do. For example, Jonathan Cate, that's all they do is make eyeglasses. Or Pro Design is another line that I carry. That's all they do is make glasses. They don't do suits and bags and none of that.
What about somebody like Foster Grant?
Foster Grant is all about the lenses. It's the polarized lenses, and they're polarized. They're not ophthalmic quality. They're a lot thinner. You can bend them and that kind of thing. But it's easy for somebody to go to a drugstore and get a pair of Foster Grants.
That's where they sell them at.
And they are polarized. That's where they steal them at. You said.
Do tell.
But yeah, that stuff you can get at the drugstore, and you could probably get into a pair of Foster Grants for $10, $15. It's when you get into the higher end sunglasses, whether it's a Ray-Ban or Serengetis or Bolets or Varnays, most of the cost is in the lens.
But I can't trust them, store-bought Rite Aid.
As you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because
it just don't seem like it's good.
Spend a little more money, man.
Well, you shouldn't, because the lenses usually don't have any UV protection. And why that's important is because people think that just because you have sunglasses, you have sun protection. But the reality is, if there's no UV protection in the lens and you're behind a sun lens, your pupil opens up wider, and it actually allows more UV in. So it's actually more harmful to have that. And, cataracts is one of the number one diseases that African Americans have. And in terms of.
Say that one more time.
Cataracts is one of the number one diseases that African Americans suffer from.
So you're saying that wearing the UV ones will.
Everyone should have UV protection. A lot of times if you go to another eyeglass shop, they charge you extra for UV coating. But I don't do that, because I just UV every lens.
All in one package.
Because there's no point in it, because it doesn't take any longer to do. It's just putting it into a vat. So UV is a coating. You put it into the vat. And so if I can just put it in there and walk away from it, why am I going to charge you more when I know that it's important for your eye health to have it?
Well, thank you for protecting the brother.
Yeah, that's some knowledge here.
I know that is knowledge. So what brand is yours? I see yours are
the same brand as
same brand as Marichal.
It's got a little diamond on the side.
It's Scott Harris is the line.
Okay, all right, very cool.
Scott Harris vintage.
He just has really.
I got fancy ones. I didn't know I had fancy ones.
You got real cool glasses, man.
And again, that's a designer that a lot of us haven't heard of, but but again, they don't.
And people, let me say, since you said this is a designer that a lot of people haven't heard of, you got to start trusting designers that you don't know about, because every designer that's out there ain't necessarily good just because you hear about it. So trust the person that you don't know. Remember when Hyundai first came out? Y'all didn't want a Hyundai. Now everybody got one. And remember when Sony first came out? Everybody got a Sony or they own it now.
Sony of them.
So there you go. We want to thank you for coming, Mr. That Guy.
Well, thank you for inviting
Mr.
me.
Dennis Peterson. Y'all go uptown on Broke. Okay, get a question.
I had a question, but then I think I forgot it. Oh, if I just bring my if I just bring my prescriptions to you, then you can just do them there.
Right. That's what I can do. And also because I do my own lab work, if you have a frame that you've loved for 15, 20 years, if you're Sally Jesse Raphael and that's your look, and you have an updated prescription, that's what I do also. Because most people want to sell you a frame. I mean, I want to sell you a frame too, but because I do lab work and I know that some people, they have their look for, Goss has those glasses that he's wearing now and that's what I met him in, and that's part of his look. So there's a couple of other people.
I have an eye drobe,
Well, he does have an eye drobe now. But there's a few other people that I could mention on the Boulevard that have done business with me. There's Michael Chavez from Son of a Bean, and he's got this, I don't know if it's a Prada or I can't remember the brand name, but it's his look. It's a yellow frame. It's a checkerboard. You've seen the glasses. Yeah. So I told him when he came in, it's like, this is your look. Okay. You need an updated prescription? I'll do that part for you.
Okay.
So I could do that too.
Okay, so I could just bring my, I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, go get my, because like I said, they got me.
So what ends up happening with most people, because a lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to sell you a frame, and I get that too. But what happens with most people is if they come into my shop and they let me do that, and they're sitting around waiting for me to do the work, a lot of times they'll wander around and they'll find something to add to their eye drobe.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question that a lot of people want to know. Can I go to the store at the drugstore, get a pair of sunglasses, and bring that frame, because I love that frame. Could I bring that frame to you and have my prescription put into it?
Well,
can it handle it or no?
Most people in town will tell you no, it's not an ophthalmic quality frame.
Okay.
However, I've been known to put a lens in a hubcap if you let me.
That's a skill.
Oh, man. Okay.
Okay, we're going to end on that.
Yes. Mr. Dennis Peterson, everybody. That Guy Eyewear, Uptown in the Design District, Del Paso Boulevard.
That sister got a question real quick. Just real quick.
Insurance? I'd like to understand that you won't have that be available until January?
There are some insurances I can bill. I'm out of network. Most people in this town have VSP. And that's one of the ones that I'm out of network. I can bill it. It's at a reduced reimbursement rate. But because my prices, particularly my lens prices, are wholesale, because I started out as a wholesaler and I still am. So the prices I charge the public are pretty much the same thing as I charge doctors' offices. So I can bill it. But once the doctor's there, that will change everything. Yeah, that will change medical billing as well as just vision plans.
So where are you located again?
2203 Del Paso Boulevard in the Uptown Design District.
Okay.
That's right. Say it. Uptown in the Design District.
And you have a website?
I do have a website. I have a website. It's thatguyeyewear.com.
Okay.
I also have an online store which is called Heckaspecs.com.
Heckaspecs.
Okay, Heckaspecs.
And that's the online store.
That's very Sacramento right there. Heckaspecs. Yeah. Okay, very good.
Is there a number? A phone number?
Yeah, a phone number. You have
yes, the phone number is 916-226-0257.
Say it again.
916-226-0257.
I think they want to hear one again. Awesome sauce.
916-226-0257.
That's for the slow people.
Okay. Please give this brother a call. Get your prescriptions at Costco.
Get your eyewear on.
Come to this brother right here and get your, support that guy right there. Support him.
Tell him Black Talk Sacramento sent you.
That's right. That's right. And you get nothing off for that.
That's right. We're going to tell you ahead of time. No coupons.
You won't get that. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, what's happening? Everybody?
It was about 8:52 when I wrote this. I had a moment. I had to let out some emotion. Excuse my diagnosis.
Hey, Tony. I think last time that we were on, we did the show, we were talking to Lawrence. And Lawrence said that he was going to kick a poem. I don't know. I came late. Have a seat.
Have a seat, Tony.
So he said he promised.
That is correct.
Wait.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't here.
Yeah,
I wasn't here.
You know what? Because the thing was, Marichal had brought up that this man has never said a poem on his show.
On his show, 3
years.
We've been on his show 3 years, and he has not.
And we know how brilliant he is. I ain't trying to patronize you, but you are.
Yes.
But not here. You did say
multiple poetry books, multiple venues that you
multiple poetry performances.
You're
singing.
One of the top poets
in Sacramento.
You know, he has expanded his craft so much that now he's added photography to it.
Okay. He has illustrations going.
He's got illustrations going. Come on, man.
Come on.
Okay.
Share. What'd you learn today?
All right.
See, this is what you call putting the brother on the spot.
Yeah. Well, he said he would do it, so.
But you sure remember, didn't you?
Yeah. I couldn't wait.
I had just forgot.
He was probably thinking, they ain't gonna remember. They never gonna remember. So come on, what you gonna do?
I don't know. What y'all want to hear?
Something groovy. Come on, say something.
Something groovy.
Something groovy.
Something for today.
Something for right now.
For right now.
You know what all the ills going on.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
talk to us right now.
Feel good black folk stuff, brother.
Oh, really? Feel good black.
Make it feel good.
Stuff. Right, blackness.
But you said feel good.
But feel good.
Well, I know you got some of that.
Okay.
Rebellious
Potato pie. Potato pie feel good.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to introduce no other than Lawrence Inside Dickens.
All right, this is you know, those of you guys know that I do poetry. It's not, I very rarely do feel good stuff. But I'm gonna try to do something feel good. This is an oldie but goodie, and just for you guys, because you know I really don't like to multitask too much.
Go on with it.
All right.
Let it happen.
I am jazz, blues, rap, hip hop, swing, doo-wop, funk, ragtime, scratch, Negro, spiritual, rhythm and blues, soul, break, tap, swing, crump, Nation of Islam, 10% Hebrew, AME, I am Urban League, NAACP, Black Panther, ex-slave, free Negro, new Negro, colored, African American, black, take that back, black and I'm proud, Buffalo Soldier, Tuskegee Airman, Freedom Rider, Invisible Man, Black Nationalist, soul of Black folk, African, I am Afro, hot top fade, dreadlock, natural, Gerry curl, parachute pants, Michael Jackson's one glove, pistol guitar strings, Hancock's keyboard, Louis trumpet, Sammy's shoes, Ella's voice, Black is beautiful, Shirley Chisholm, friends. How many of us have them? Electric side, Run DMC up, Run DMC up, Run DMC up, glasses, I am Unk, Afro Sapien, Ebony Nation, Jet, Diaspora, Fubu, Zoot Suit, Zulu, I am Afro-Tropolis, 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 one nation under the funk. All right.
Thank you.
Are you satisfied?
I am satisfied.
Okay, all right.
We is satisfied.
Because I am
satisfied. I can't get no. All right.
I'm satisfied. You broke.
All right, so what's happening?
Okay. I'll try to feel good.
Yes.
That was feeling good.
So next guest.
Coming forward.
This gentleman has been around for a while in Sacramento, protecting the Sacramento neighborhoods, and he steps out among many to make sure. When I say protect, I mean protect, right? This
protect and serve.
Yeah, protect and serve. This gentleman is a sheriff, and he speaks out whenever he sees any ill. Well, yeah, sheriff's deputy. When he sees any illness that's happening in the community, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce no other than Harry.
Harry!
Here's drama. Got more
Welcome to Black Talk Sacramento, Mr. Harry.
Books your whole family than ever read. But know everything Mac Dre said. Mac Dre more popular than Jesus nowadays.
Oh, welcome,
Nigga been
brother.
more shorts than a polo man.
Welcome. Come on in.
Thank you for coming.
Can't stand it.
Our pleasure.
Man, it's been a minute, man.
Let's skate. Let's go. I'm leaving. Let's leave. I'm leaving now.
Okay. So how you been doing?
I have, personally, I've been doing good. I've been blessed in my personal life, and work has been interesting over the years.
Yeah, I see you still out there on the front line, man.
Yeah, I am. But, you called me and you said, come on down and talk about what I've been doing.
Yeah.
So I made a few notes, and I said I wanted to make sure that I told your audience. I'm thinking it's more than 10 years ago that I was patrolling this area in the county, but coming up in Toad Park. And I caught up with you, Mike Lambert, and several other community activists, fell in love with the neighborhood, and we started working together. And that idea of us working together was all centered around making the neighborhood better, doing something for kids. And, it's come full circle. Here we are again. Still the same mindset, trying to make things better for folks. And so, I'm just happy to be here and to see both of us, still doing it and still going.
Well, thank you. So let's talk about some of the issues that are going on today. There's been a lot of things that are happening on both sides. So we've been having a lot of police violence in Sacramento against citizens, and then we also been having a lot of crime in the neighborhood. I don't necessarily want to say black on black crime, but that's basically what it is we have neighborhood wars that are happening right now. What are some of the things that you think are causing it, and what can we do as a community to try to put a stop to it?
Okay. First of all, let me say that the sheriff requires this. He sent me an email a long time ago when I come to places and speak. He wanted me to make sure that anything I say is on my own behalf. I'm not a representative of the sheriff's department tonight.
Right.
And to answer your question, it's something I've been thinking about and writing about for years. And you think about what you're doing here now. You have African-American men around the table communicating to the public. You have problems in almost every major city across this country. That no one escapes the fact that we have, a lot of young people shooting at people they grew up with, causing basically small wars in neighborhoods, and it's taking a toll on our country economically. People going to prison, folks that go to jail, they leave their families behind, they leave kids behind. So it's devastating. So we'll take it in pieces. If I'm asked what is causing this and driving it, I spent a lot of time with young people who have committed crimes, whether, having just arrested them or talking to them behind the walls of jail cells and prisons. And the thing that strikes me mostly is that so many of our young people are lost. And I asked this question so many times, and what I've concluded is we have such an abandoned population of young people, and maybe a lot of it came out of the drug use in the 80s and 90s, and families breaking up. But I talk to so many kids, and one of the key factors they tell me is when you're walking around and you're poor and you don't have some of these kids describe that. They have nothing. They're going to school and somebody's feeding them, but any type of spending money, they don't have it. Right. And so when someone comes along and says, hey, I have some easy money for you, we'll push this person down, take an iPhone, take it over here, sell it, and get a little money, slowly that becomes attractive. And then people get caught up into that. And as many of us know, one wrong move, you're pushing someone down, you're committing a robbery, and all of a sudden you're a felon.
You got a record.
All of a sudden you're a felon. It's not a small thing.
Right.
So in combination of that, you have some of these young folks who are just raised in families that are initiating them into the gang lifestyle at 5, 6, 7 years old. They're dressing their kids as little gangsters. And so at 10 years old, an older cousin is coaching you up, waiting for the day that you can come and run with them. So how does that kid have a chance if they have no responsible adults in their lives? It's inevitable that they're going to get in trouble. And once again, without a solid family structure or some adult in their life to pull them away from it, it's what I've seen personally is just year after year after year in the system. And then the next thing you know, you're an adult, you commit a crime, and it's just easy for the system to send you away for 20 years. And the cycle just continues.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, we all know that there's a problem. We constantly see the problem every day. For you as a person that's out there every day and you see it firsthand, what would you say to some of the young people? How could they avoid it?
That's the question. I mean, I asked the question. I dig deep with any young person that will talk to me, and I asked the question. What pulled you into this? Was it the gang lifestyle? Was it, and just what I said earlier? Some of it's poverty, and inevitably they swing into it. But people say it, and it's true. We have to offer these young people something other than what's there.
Okay.
When they're at that critical moment and they're getting ready to make that decision of going and running with a gang member or one person who's going to do something bad, if we're not there to offer them something different, they have but one choice. So it's part of it's the young people, but part of it is through the schools, through communities, making sure that we're giving them something different.
When I was growing up, we used to have this thing called night gym.
Mm-hmm.
They used to open up the gyms in the school in the city, and that was where the kids can go. And there was an adult there that played basketball with them. They had sports and stuff like that. I'm not saying basketball is everything, but it gave them some place to go. I think programs such as that, after school programs for young people up to 18 years old need to come back into play again. Like you said, if you give them something else to do, they'll have something else to do. If I don't have no paper, I'm going to write on your wall.
Right. No, and it is that simple. We understand it is that simple. The creative process is then how do we and what do we do to engage the kids? And we've done some things. I don't think everything works. We can't have, this one-size-fits-all program. Yeah. But, for example, there's probably a dozen kids out there that would like to be doing this. They just don't know that you guys are doing it. And how can you mentor them into this? It really is. It's the church. It's just the school. It's all of the folks sitting down together. But I think that's the problem. How many times, and maybe it's happening and I don't see it, but I think you need a principal, a police chief, a church member, somebody coming to a place like this in this community and brainstorming what we do. For example, if I had more money, I'd contribute some of my personal money toward this. Just give you an idea. What if the city said, okay, in a particular location here, we're going to make sure that these folks can use the water for free. And the community said, okay, let's start a car wash so that a kid can come over, work for 4 hours, maybe earn $50 and move on. If that is part of our community way of engaging these kids into washing cars, and I'd wash my car once a week for $5. How many other people would drive from other places just to make sure on the weekend we're coming to have the car washed so that these kids can make money? But it takes the city, making that effort and saying, in this work location, we're going to let the water run there and they can do it for free. People need to get paid to administer the program. But again, just think about it. Thousands of people coming to a location to wash cars, kids making $50. Now he doesn't have to go out and steal something. So I think just some of that out of the box thinking like that. That's just one idea that can help engage the community. In addition to that, for example, if a kid wanted to participate in that program, we could put some other condition on, like you got to be in school, you got to do some things, you got to be attending certain programs. But here's a way for you to make $50 on the weekend or $100. Without committing crimes.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things I see with the young people is that they're dealing with some adult problems.
Yeah.
And young kids shouldn't have to be thinking about rent and eating and dinner and breakfast and that's why the Black Panthers started their breakfast program. Right, back in the day, because that was a serious issue, was that these kids was malnourished. And you can't expect someone, and oftentimes I'll talk about this with friends of mine. We talk about the community's short-sightedness. For instance, I'll give you a good example. We have Flint, Michigan, that's happening in Flint. Right, you have the water problem with lead. Now, lead has been proven to lower IQ and cause all kind of health problems. But 20 years from now, those kids are going to be adults, and we're going to forget all about what happened in Flint. and we're going to be blaming them for their low IQ problems, and we're going to be blaming them for their health problems. Why can't you live right? Why didn't you eat right? And we're going to forget all about what happened to them. And the same thing happened with the crack epidemic.
I was going to say,
the crack epidemic, where we have kids now, the adults now, that was crack babies or living in that situation when
and was never
and never given the right
healing, yes,
healing and counseling or anything. They have
nourishment.
They have PTSD. They have all these different situations, and this is what's happening right now with kids. Right now is that you have this meth epidemic that's happening right now. You have all these things that's going on. Then on top of that, you have them thinking about where I'm going to stay tonight. They couch surfing at 16 years old, going from one place to
it's a lot of homeless.
A lot of homeless, yeah. And then you have the group home thing of people aging out of group homes.
Oh, and nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. It's it's the situation that our young people are in is appalling. And we just can't expect them to. They're not going to play by society's rules to try to, if they need to eat, and what you said is a good example of a nice brainstorm. It's like, okay, we need to figure out a way to help these kids get something. And then they kids as well. So they looking at what everybody else have. Then they want new sneakers. They want to look good. They want a new cell phone. They want all these things. And they got a kid's mind. So to me, it's a daunting problem. And my heart goes out to anyone that tries to solve it, because it is a very, puzzle of monumental.
What you've said, I agree with 100%. It seems insurmountable, but the challenge we face is to actually address that. City councilman or assembly person, that's their goal, to try to figure out what's broken in society and fix it. And it is tremendous. What I want to say about that, if what I'm saying makes sense following your answer, is
I know I painted a broad stroke.
It is. But when you look at what's happening, with all of those things happening, you also see something happening in the city and cities across America. It's getting too expensive. So on top of the problem you just described, the rents are going
through
astronomical,
the roof.
And so the problem is going to get worse. Then city councils, not just ours in Sacramento, in my opinion, the board of supervisors. I was at one of their meetings when they came along. And they gave the developers a break. They actually lowered the number of low-income units that the builders had to build with the developments. I was there against that, because in the short term it may not seem bad, but you look over 20 years, that means it's that many number of low-income housing units available for folks. So I've said before, again, thinking outside the box, why isn't our priority in Oak Park and other places to build those one-bedroom units for the people that need that transition from their mother's home and then into a family life? But we should be building a bunch of one-bedroom homes. Now we're building, 2, 3, 4-bedroom homes for the people who are going to come in and spend $400,000.
Did you see in Detroit they're building homes for families that were homeless? They're actually one.
Are you talking about the tiny homes?
The tiny homes.
Okay.
Go online and check out the tiny homes.
Okay,
they're amazing.
Okay, so and not knocking you, so I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way. Build my people a regular home. Don't give them a tiny home. We got land. We got resources. We've got new building technologies that are so much better than what we've had before. And then let the people build. Like I said, when you think outside the box, for example, you've got all of this manpower and labor around here. Why aren't these folks building their own houses that's going to come about? But again, that comes back to politics and the vision. The person sitting in that seat, what vision do they have for people? And I'm law enforcement, but I think I'm so political because in law enforcement, I have gotten to see public policy play out, right before my eyes. I've seen welfare policy play out before my eyes. I've seen, whether it's housing policies and people not having a place to live, how they get priced out of homes and what happens to them. I've seen these policies play out right before my eyes. And so, I think most officers understand the importance of the politics that are going on behind the scene and how that drives what happens to people.
Just for the record, to anybody out there, I would gladly accept a tiny home. If you're handing out tiny homes, I would gladly take one. Just for the record, I don't need a full, you know what I'm saying? I'm a small guy. I don't need that much. Okay, so, but everything you said, like I said, it's we have to start thinking, and like you said, it's I think we have to tell the people in governance that it's not a sin to be poor. And
poor is not a person; it's a situation.
But it's not that. I mean, it's not a sin to be poor. It's like, you know, what the Bible says: the poor you will have always. So with you always. So it's not. And a lot of times we penalize people for being poor, and it's okay. It's like you will always have somebody that's poor, and all I see is that people are like you said, squeezing the poor, and they have to go somewhere. Right. They have to go somewhere. So I know that my brother Tony, you got some questions for him?
You don't have to move, though.
Oh,
yeah. Just
okay.
Just slide.
I definitely want to get in on this discussion.
Yeah.
But can I say something about his comment about being poor? I grew up in a small town in Mississippi. It's very segregated. Black folks way on this side of town, white folks way.
What's the name of that city, please?
It's Poplarville, Mississippi. Anybody got relatives from a small, poor town where a lot of the people are poor?
Yeah.
So much pride in those people, so much pride, so much respect for themselves and their community. So what I would say to you is, I don't think it's not how people are. I can't say this. I don't think it's how people are looking upon poor people. I think it's how they value the people. It's how they value them and what they're going to do for them. Because I'll say it again, depending on who's in office, that determines how people are treated and what's going to be done for them. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's not the poor people; it's the people in office and how much energy you put into helping to fix what's broken.
I don't even think people, specifically black folks, even know that they're poor, struggling at times, because we're so good at it. Right. We're so good at it. We're going to make ends make. We are survivors. Correct. And I'm not trying to switch gears, Deputy Harry, but I did want to ask you this, because you are a man in blue, and it's always the conversation of what's happening with cops' relations with the community, specifically the black community. From your perspective, and you've been in this for many years, and I love the work that you do. What it's like out there right now to be a cop in the streets of Sacramento?
Okay, so let me just say this. I'm at the courthouse right now. I've been there for a number of years, and as you know, I was out
been
patrolling.
I've
been a pop officer out patrolling the neighborhoods, turn the corner, start chasing everything moving. I've done all of that. But I stay in touch with the officers. I'm out in the public, and there's a, how can I say? I think there's a fear, there's tension, and there's concern on all sides. You have officers. They recognize that they're not Supermen. They know that they can get shot. They recognize that there's a lot of anger out there, and there's some fear. There's some more concern than ever before that you put on your uniform, you go to work, and somebody that's mad about something doesn't mind taking shots, at the police. So this is the environment that we're working in. A lot of officers, and I was at City Council not too long ago, talking, at the podium, making my comments, and I said to the folks, all of the officers, every one of us, we're not your enemy. There are problems, but we're not your enemy. And I think there's some space out there to work together. But the environment that we're policing in today, I think today, I hear more and more people saying, hey, maybe it's time for me to draw back and maybe not contact some people. And my thing is, I think that's bad. I think if we...
What do you say when you say
in what
that?
sense? What you mean by that? Drawback and...
So officers go out there and make a lot of contacts. They do what we've been trained to do. In the environment today, I think a lot of officers, old and young, the mindset is, well, maybe we just pull back and not go out and make some of the contacts that we would otherwise make. Mm-hmm. Maybe we just stay back and wait for somebody to call us for help, and then we go do that. But, hey, do I really want to go pull over this guy, have him yell racism at me when I have to put hands on him now I'm being sued, or he's shooting me?
But what happened to the policemen walking around in the neighborhood that used to do the beat thing? You know, back in the day, there used to be the cop that walked the beat, and you got to know
that knew the
people in the neighborhood. And what happened to that?
It went away, and probably for a good reason, in the sense that you can cover more ground with a car. In some of the cities where they had those beat officers, probably say back in New York, maybe in Chicago, you'd have tens of thousands of people living in a small area. Mm-hmm. In that case, it was probably efficient for an officer to run 2 or 3 blocks, get a call, hey, run over here and help these guys out over here. But in an area like Sacramento, can you imagine being, just say here, for example, and, you know, a mile away, someone's calling for help.
So is it a matter of low personnel, or? Well, just for the record, we have 10 more minutes.
Okay. So yeah, it takes you an extra, you know, thousands of cops to adequately respond to these things. So a car just makes it more practical.
Well, I think we'll answer in a second, but I think having a car, it makes sense to respond, but I still think that officer needs to get out of the car and make his rounds on, you know, so he becomes part of the community. I think that's part of the problem. We see,
I'd only see you until you on me.
Right. No, I agree with you guys 100% that would be better. You guys obviously know probably that Sacramento's down probably more than 200 police officers from the old days. Right. A lot of them abandoned ship and came to Sacramento, and even when they were fully staffed, it takes more officers. If I had the money, I would do it. I would definitely. When I was, my man mentioned I was a pop officer, one of the things that I got so much reward out of is, and I still get people today come to me and say, man, Mr. Harry, I remember we used to get out of the car and just throw the football around with us.
You said I was a pop officer?
Yeah, pop. But I was one officer that had that position and was able to do that. You know, and sometimes we were doing it in multiple neighborhoods, but not everybody could do that. Most of these guys were going from call to call, going after the shooter, going after the person that beat up their wife, going after the person that, you know, burglarized their place.
Okay, and when I met you was working off 29th Street. You was in it.
He was in the midst of it. Mr. Peters?
Well, you know, I was thinking about what you were saying about the question about the beat officer. And I was having a conversation with Mike, the guy who was great about that because he's had some issues.
Yes.
And, you know, being from Jersey, I understand it's easy to have a beat officer. And then living in Phoenix, where it's so spread out, there's no way, like what you're saying, there's no way that's possible.
Right.
But I'm thinking for a town like Sacramento, where there's certain parts of town which would be more practical, for example, Del Paso Boulevard. Because one of the problems as a merchant out there that I see is that the people that are creating problems out there is the lack of contact, whether it's police department, whether it's paladin security. And I think that I personally go out there and try to meet the people that are out there. My attitude was, this is their neighborhood.
Right.
I have a brand new shop. But I think that it would be easier for the officers to move people along if they had some kind of rapport with them.
Right. And I will say to you, at least downtown, I think there's a bicycle unit, and they're out riding around. And that's the more contact, but they got a little way to pedal around a little faster, and they should definitely be in your area.
Yeah, they should get with the horses.
You know,
they should have.
So they should definitely be in your area. But again, that is one of the issues that you should be pushing your new chief on, your city council member on, because I agree that should be happening. A couple of bike officers in a neighborhood like that, or even one, can make so much of a difference.
Up and down the boulevard.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we have another question from Nadia.
I have 2 questions again.
She's coming too.
So my first question is, I'm overwhelmed by what's going on in the news with the police and Black right now. I want to know, how do you reconcile that, because you're having a much closer view. My view is through the news. Your view is up close and personal.
Okay, so reality sets in for me, and I accept for what it is, and that, you know, I've been working in law enforcement for a while, and some people, I don't think we say this enough. At the end of the day, for us, our profession is just like every other profession. So we have bad actors. We have cops that, you know, have done some bad things. They're thieves. They're racist, they're homophobic, they're some of them unfit to have the job, heavy-handed, and you know what? Some of them are racist.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of our life that we police in. So I don't say that it's okay. I say I accept that reality that, some people you would say that to and I'm shocked. No.
So what percentage of the Sacramento officers is African American? What percentage?
Let's see these numbers before. Let me see if I can say this because I think it should be on here. A few years back when Ferguson came out, a lot of police agencies analyzed themselves and had been dealing with it before. I think at that time the city acknowledged that less than 4% of the police department was African American. I had brought those numbers up years before that. I brought those numbers up I brought those numbers up years before that. By my estimate, and no one argued with me because I sent a letter to the city council. When the city had about 700 police officers, according to their own goals, they should have had about 130 black officers. At the time, they were down to like 34 to 40. Right. So we've got a long ways to go. And then I think the county kind of mirrored that in one sense. But the county population of African-American residents is less than the city. And so they really go by those numbers. But I think everybody would acknowledge that you need more African-American, more Asian, more women in law enforcement, 100%.
I think real quick. I definitely want to get one more. Yeah, okay. 2 more, okay.
Can you come back next month?
I know.
Yeah. Gotta go.
Okay. Okay. I think that part of the problem isn't that we know that there are racist police officers. I think the problem is nothing done about those that are racist. You know what I'm saying? Right. They're not taking them out. They're not going to jail. They're not, you know what I'm saying?
I think I know what you're saying, and I think that's
there's no consequence for
doing bad things.
Yeah,
right. And that's the other part of her question that I thought I realized. I don't think I quite answered all of her questions. So
she did have 2 though.
Okay. So I would say that I would agree with you that the problems I described or that I said, the ills that we have in law enforcement, I think it depends on where you are as to how much of that is tolerated in a particular city. And that's where your leadership comes in. Mm-hmm. For people, members of the public to be upset that they don't think that we're dealing with folks, I think they're right, and shame on us.
Right.
Okay. Now, then another question, and I won't try to answer it now. The other question is, what do you do about it? I guess I will try to say a couple of things. Leadership has to create an environment where I don't get punished for coming forward and saying, I think Jack has a problem.
Right.
You know, I did that, that I'm coming to imagine, like I say, and I'll say, imagine if there's a good old boy institution, right? Mm-hmm. And a captain, a lieutenant, and a sergeant have that mentality.
Yeah.
So I'm coming forward saying something about Joe, and everybody I run into is a problem. I probably, if I've been around that agency for a while, I probably know not to say anything. Yeah. I know what opposition I'm running into already. Right. So again, it's up to who you hire as a leader to set the tone as to how things are going to go. But also, too, wherever you are, you also have politicians who can have a stronger voice than me or someone else to say, hey, I know my constituents are concerned about this. I want something done about it.
They want to be tough on crime.
We're
last question.
Okay, thanks. And I appreciate you coming on our show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We had this discussion on Facebook.
Not a problem.
This is a great discussion because we got a man in blue. Scott Jones has announced that he's not going to run for a 3rd term. Now, I've seen Scott elevate people of color to higher rankings. Mm-hmm. Okay, then on the other side, he's been behind a lot of lawsuits, not him particularly, but his department, rising costs of lawsuits. So he's moving on. And you did say leadership matters.
Yes.
But I do want to get to this specific question now that we have you on air, because you have ran for public office before. Would this be something that you'd be interested in?
I had
running for sheriff, Sacramento County Sheriff.
I'd have to say honestly, I would lie to you if I said I hadn't been considering it. And one of the things, an older person who had been in management actually said to me, Henry, laid out some scenarios and said, hey, I think you've established yourself as a person that people might want to follow. So for me to say that I haven't thought about it, I'd be lying to you. The backdrop that we have now, like I said, the environment that we're policing in, I have to give it some consideration. Going back to that leadership question, depending on who stands up and says they're going to run, I might feel an internal obligation to say, hey, we can do better than that. Now, we might get a very strong, ethical person that's going to be able to not get us into lawsuits and not let their personal integrity and personal behavior overshadow the office. And let's hope for that. But again, depending on what happens in the next few weeks, I might feel a strong obligation to stand up and say, if not elected, at least I can advance some ideas, within the department.
All right.
Well, hopefully.
One more.
You got two people.
The same question that was asked to me, because you were talking about time and everything, about the disconnect between the black community and the police department. So you were talking about the numbers being 4%. So the question that was asked to me last few, how do you reach out to kids? And it seems like it'd be more challenging for you to me. So you see that this is a profession that's having to get into and ultimately raise those numbers.
Once again, it depends on the focus of the leadership, and I do believe that almost every agency since Ferguson understands that and has been putting more effort into it. I bet if you talk to the chief, he'd tell you that. But as a community, I think the way you do it is to try, and I've done this for years, but we need more officers doing it. I go on my own, not in a uniform, and talk to kids at school all the time. I'm known for it, so people will ask me to come talk to the kids. And I run some kids through scenarios, and the next thing you know, some of the hardest kids in the room are saying, hey, I kind of see why you do what you do sometime. And you can change minds within a matter of a few minutes.
Sure. All right. Yeah.
She has a question, and then this should be our last question.
Last question.
So I've been dealing with a number of groups, and also I'll tell you, I got a call from my sister who's a social worker. She got a call from a guy who was sitting in the car ready to commit suicide, and she had to get him to a hospital. Normally she would call the police, but considering this was a homeless African-American guy in a very nice car, she was frightened to call the police for what would happen to him. And so I've dealt with a lot of other groups who are saying we need to start policing our own communities so that we don't have to call the police. I'd like to know what you have to say to that mindset.
There's certainly nothing wrong with more people becoming involved in their community. You have to weigh out every situation, and you have to remember this. It's a small percentage of people that are actually shot by the police. The vast majority of police officers I know are level-headed and good people, okay? In the African-American community, do we have a heightened fear that something's going to go wrong? Sure. But I personally wouldn't be afraid to call the police.
But that's kind of like Russian roulette, right? Because you don't know who you're going to get, unless you can call and say, "I want this officer to come through."
And then if you have a black man that's sitting in the car with a gun that's talking about committing suicide, that's like, that's a dangerous situation, right?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but but on the other side of it, it's kind of like. Yeah. If I like, for instance, if you had like maybe if we didn't have cops that walk the beat, maybe we can have a cop that is responsible for a certain area, and the community can call that certain cop when they need help. Then I think that would be. We have to have some kind of way to make sure that the cop we're getting is a level-headed cop that you're talking about, and that's the. Because we do,
well, two things.
To be honest.
Two things, as I said. I accept the reality that there's a real fear in the African-American community of making that call. I accept it. I accept that reality. On the other hand, you're not going to have a cop that's not going to be, you're going to be on a day off one day when you need him, and he's going to be gone. So obviously the goal is to make sure all of our officers are that cop that you want. We got to make sure that's the challenge. We have to make sure that all of our officers are the cop that you want coming to that call.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that answer.
Wait.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
We want to thank you and Mr. Peterson for coming out. We definitely would love to have both of you guys back because
please come back.
Yes, please come back.
Discussions that we need to have, especially during this time.
That you're going to
announce it on Black Talk Sacramento.
Right here.
It could be a world premiere.
Well, I'll tell you guys, I promise you I'll come back because I think there's a lot of good in the give and take that we have here, and hopefully share it with other folks. I will come back.
Okay, great. And I love the idea that you brought up about bringing some of the younger men and women in here to help run this right here, do what we do, because I think that's giving back too.
And I'm going to say this and put a council member on the spot. It should be giving you a grant to help pay these kids to be here for a few hours.
Let's do this.
To do this and learn something and apply that to school.
Right. I agree. Well, I would like to thank everybody. This is Black Talk Sacramento.
Number 35.
Number 35. We're signing off. My name is Marichal J. Brown.
I'm Gerry Simpson.
I'm NSAA.
I'm Antonio, quote unquote, Antonio Hart.
And this is Black Talk.
Tony of quote unquote Harvey.
Who are you, man? Black Talk Sacramento, y'all.
He messed up his own quotes.
We'll see you next month.
See you soon.
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in.
That was erroneous.
Great setup there, man. Thank you so much.